All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich CELENZA. Thanks for checking out the Rich CELENZA Show. So what I'm going to ask you is, or I'm going to actually title this podcast, is did your injuries make you stronger or weaker? A lot of times I throw in these fitness podcasts, not sure if you like them or not. I think some people listen for fitness stuff, and then other people maybe relationship. And I have all these different things I cover on my podcast. And, I try to cover the gamut, but I go with what I feel like talking about. And in this case, I really want to talk about injuries a lot of time. Or I don't want to talk about them, but I do talk about them because I think for the most part, regardless if you work out or not, you're going to get injured throughout your life, especially if you live a long life. And again, like I said, I don't care if you play sports. I don't care if you go to the gym. I don't care if you just walk to work or you do nothing fitness related throughout your life. Most likely, you're going to injure yourself. You could injure yourself in your home just going up and down the stairs. You could slip and fall. Anything can happen, right? Let's call it for what it is. But what I want to get into today is kind of, if you do get injured, is kind of using it to your advantage. And I don't think a lot of people do. I think a lot of times when people get injured, they either baby something, which of course you want it to heal. You don't want to make it worse. But learning about what injured you. Now, if you fell and slipped in the bathroom and fell on your ass, of course, what are you going to learn from that? I mean, obviously, you don't want to either change the tile or make sure there's a towel or a carpet down so you don't slip. But if you injure yourself, say doing something else, again, it could be walking, it could be at the gym, it could be picking something up incorrectly. All these things, I think a lot of times when it comes to injuries, now this isn't an injury again, like, let me first say, like in a car accident or you're on your bicycle and you wipe out or someone hits you with something unexpectedly. That's a different type of injury. What I'm talking about is you kind of injuring yourself doing something physical is what I should say. So let me make myself clear. A lot of times injuries are kind of setting you up and saying either, in my opinion, like, hey, look it, we have to maybe improve our strength in this area. Why? Or we need to do something differently. So for instance, most people pick up boxes or just pick up things a lot of times incorrectly. They should be using their legs more. Instead, they use their back. This could be at home or in the workplace. Then eventually they pull their back out. Well, it's kind of giving you a signal to say, hey, you're doing this incorrectly. There's a better way to do this. Or I also think it's saying, hey, we may need to strengthen our body here a little more. We're getting either older or we're lifting something heavier. Your body is sending you signals all the time. And injuries are a big part of these signals. And I think a lot of times when people get a signal or they get injured, they almost want to, again, baby it or be like, oh my God, I can't never do that again, right? Or something in that nature, like I better be careful to, again, never, do whatever the hell I'm doing. No, that's not necessarily the case, especially if you want to keep doing more. If you look at most people, let's just say, I will throw athletics in here. If you look at a lot of athletes, I'm not saying you have to be an athlete, but to get certain results, they keep pushing themselves. Sometimes they push themselves so far, guess what happens? It goes to the, to the extreme the other way. They injure themselves. Their body's telling them, hey, at this point in time is too much, right? A lot of times, though, people I see, it's not too much. They're doing too little. You need to start doing a little more. And, one thing I talk about a lot is preventing injuries. But that doesn't mean walking around and constantly being scared and doing nothing. That's more or less me saying, build your body, so it can handle as much as it can handle in the life that you're leading. I don't mean to throw him into this, Tom Brady. I don't know if you know anything about his book, TB12, I read a while ago, but it's about pliability. And it's about the impact because he's in football and he's wanted to play a long time. But he created a body where how can it sustain being in the NFL at a certain time? And it wasn't about inflicting pain. It was about kind of receiving it and being able to recover and heal. And I think if a lot of people look at their life that way, you can heal incredibly. You're going to get injured. But after hopefully your injury goes away or you recover, I want that to make you stronger. You may need to pay more attention to that area that got injured. There's no question about that. And I definitely don't want you to repeat the injury. But I want it to make you stronger. I also think a lot of times small injuries here and there, again, You know, they're giving you the signals. Maybe you may need to start working out. Maybe you need more rest. You may be fatigued. You know, all these different types of things that I think a lot of people neglect. A lot of people, for the most part, that I know, a lot of times they get an injury. They'll go to the doctor, depending on the injury. I don't know what the level is, and a lot of times they'll maybe have to go through therapy, or maybe they'll have to have surgery, or maybe they'll have to get on a certain type of medicine or something to help them. And I get all that stuff. But if you can kind of get the mindset where you can, as much as you can, I should say, heal yourself. And you'd be shocked, when you put your mind to it, what you can heal within your body. Your body is, I did a podcast on it. I'm not saying it's indestructible, but it is meant to sustain a lot. And I think as we've gotten older, or I think I should say is this generation, and I'm sure the generation before us was maybe tougher, or thought they were tougher. The one before that was tougher. And if you go all the way back, where we were hunters. But, like I've heard these stories where, years and hundreds of years ago, you broke your arm, you just dealt with it. Just saying to survive, right? If you didn't have, most of these people didn't have doctors. I mean, it's amazing what they had to do to kind of, to live, to survive, right? Where in 2021, for instance, I think a lot of us just aren't used to dealing with pain maybe, or learning that we can sustain a lot. Because I don't think a lot of us kind of do a lot necessarily. A lot of us kind of have, don't get me wrong, if you do physical labor or things in that nature, that's a whole different thing. But I think a lot of people sit a lot more than they ever have. They may not do as much outdoors as maybe, their grandparents may have, or did things in that nature. It's just a different, more comfortable style life, in my opinion, or at least the one I'm surrounded by. And, I just wanted to do a podcast on this because I don't think people really realize that they can, I believe, learn so much from injuries. And along the way, prevent a lot of injuries. I talk about it a lot. Is, there does come a point in time where you have to smarten up. If you're going to go lift, even if you're in a gym or at home, you're going to lift something that is probably too heavy. And you go to lift it and but you keep pushing yourself, and then you end up on your back, you're pulling your back out and you're laying in your bed for a week or two, or who knows what it leads to. That's kind of on you. You got to have common sense a lot of times when it comes to certain things, especially when it comes to, as you age, going out and doing things that you may have done before where you should know better. I did a podcast on that as well, where somebody just recently blew their knee and broke their arm. Middle-aged guy goofing around playing basketball, with his buddies, which I'm not telling you not to play basketball, but sometimes when you start to do things that are stupid, the way, kind of he was handling things, it's on you. So, anyways, I am going to leave it there, but if you have any questions or comments, let me know. I put up a bunch of YouTube videos where I did gym tours, and at the end of the videos, I talked a lot about injuries. And I've also done independent videos on injuries, because I think injuries are such game changers in life. It really can set you back days, weeks, months, years, even decades. I see a lot of guys throughout my life. I've spent my entire life going in and out of a gym, and I see a lot of guys that are fighting through injuries, and especially a lot of knees, I should say. Some arm issue, but a lot of leg, foot, and all that. And you can see one leg is bigger than the other, or one knee's blown up, or one, ankle. And I actually hurt my ankle about a year ago. But, I look at that, and it can just be a game changer. If you're somebody who plays a lot of sports, please take care of yourself, warm up, stretch properly, make sure you understand the conditions you're playing in. For instance, if it's very wet outside, just really protect yourself. It's on you to protect yourself and try to prevent as many injuries as possible. But if you do get injured, because most likely if you're going to play sports, or you're going to do anything in life, like I said earlier, you're going to get injured. Try to, make yourself stronger through that process. And even after it heals, hopefully, you're stronger, you're smarter. Don't let it destroy you. And I see a lot of times where even younger people, they'll get injured and baby it and never be afraid. They'll never like get past it to a certain degree. You can get past it. You can do a lot of incredible things physically. I promise you. So, all right, I'm going to wrap it up there. You got any questions or comments? Hit me up. I'm on, what's my website? richcelenza.com.